welcome to our throwback puzzle stream to some puzzle classics from Super Mario Maker 1 by some makers that are already in large part familiar to us from the 1, 2, 3 YMM projects that we covered earlier this year when we went back to the original game on Wii U. We are going to be looking at some levels today from the Perplexing Puzzles project, a set of levels that was released in 2018. We will not be doing the whole thing exhaustively and in order, at least not yet, because the purpose of this is actually to drive towards a specific level that's a bit of a puzzle legend, shall we say. But there is a prerequisite to it before we get started on that, which is this first level in the set by Pink Birdo, Pen and Paper Pyramid. Now, the level codes are available on the site that was also used for 3YMM. There's also a separate official site on GitHub, I believe, but that uses bookmark links to the now defunct bookmark site. Also, one thing that I had not done the whole time that I played the YMM projects was show off the level codes on screen by just tapping the ID button on the Wii U gamepad, which would have simplified things quite a bit in terms of record keeping and making sure all the level codes display properly on the broadcast. But anyway, here you are. I'm actually going to copy the level code in chat just in case anybody goes over to chat record afterwards and should need it. And let's begin. Actually, no, before we begin, I'm going to take a look at the description text. I should have pulled this up in the first place. Just one moment here, because there is accompanying description text, and I just remembered that. If only I could find it. Ah yes, it's on the page that I linked above, and it says of this puzzle: true to its title, this puzzle requires a pen and paper and takes place in a pyramid. In this sequel to the 13 alien hieroglyphs, which by the way I have not played, the player must use a variety of clues to translate a message written in hieroglyphics, with each glyph corresponding to a distinct character. Okay, seems simple enough. Let's do it. It does mean we will pull out the escape room notepad. And in fact, since the escape room notepad was something I laid out for Maker 2, let's see how it actually fits here in Maker 1. Quite well, actually. The interface has not really changed that dramatically. Anyway, now that we have paused for effect, let's do the SMM1 thing and check the pyramid. This is the entrance. That is coin 1 out of 5, which is interesting because currently from the camera position, it looks like if this is built on 2 levels that we are on the top level and unable to descend far enough to scroll the camera down any further. I would assume that after that coin, well, we'll see, because perhaps we do need to wrap back in here, and maybe this is just on the half-screen build, except I don't think it is, because we did see the preview banner at the very beginning. So we need to decode... Oh, this is a problem. I don't have a screenshot button on this system, and we no longer have access to Miiverse. That's actually a fairly major hindrance, because I realize now how much I depend on that in order to solve things like decryption-based escape rooms, just having a capture button readily available. Looks like, though, that these are the symbols that we're dealing with. Notice that there are repetitions, so this is not the key, this is likely the message. And that we have a couple of repetitions in the cipher. We can maybe even track these repetitions and have a sense of what the pattern of the cipher we're going for is going to be, because sometimes this could reveal things like the vowel and consonant distribution. So for example, you know, this character matches this character. We can actually just transcribe some of this right now and see what we can do with that information, but I think it's probably wiser at this point to see a little bit more of the puzzle first before we proceed. So why don't we start on the left side? And I'll just have to consider my note-taking strategy here, because it looks like pen and paper is quite serious about actually being able to perhaps draw some of these shapes instead of... yeah, let me think about this, because using the text-based notepad may not be as good here as being able to actually sketch these shapes. One came in. Mario Maker 1. And yeah, I suppose that in terms of the trash comparison, that would be of a very different flavor, just given the access to different tools like the amiibo costumes and so forth. Let's see how many characters there are here. It looks like there are some spaces that imply that we have some separate words. And so we should pay attention to the spacing as well. I think in case I need to see some of these symbols later on, we had best put together some kind of provisional key right now. In fact, so we'll likely run out of timer a couple of times as we do this, but it's important that we do it. So let's say CP run room message, and then we'll do the kind of character distribution as we go and figure out the cipher. So it's going to be 4 characters, I think. And then 3, and then 1. And then we'll need to figure out some kind of system of organization. 7 characters. And then the second line is going to look like this. 7 characters. Space. Actually, I don't know about some things like this vertical line. It could be that because of the way that tracks are connected, that our count is completely off. Although I'm thinking, yeah, because the issue is that there are going to be some sets of disconnected tracks that are single symbols rather than multiples. I feel like some of these track layouts are not quite possible in Maker 2 either, depending on the placement, but I could be wrong about that. But let's see, because I'm worried mostly about stuff like this single vertical line here. But that's okay, let's treat this as a distinct character for the time being until we see otherwise. So let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just in case these are in fact identical. Okay. Oh, also notice this sound effect. Where was it? Sound effect was right here on checkpoint, okay. And then 7. So we see a couple of matches already, so we'll have kind of we'll set up a kind of temporary cipher with characters in order of appearance. And then we'll set up a solution string. So let's say cipher text, we'll do lowercase, and then solution, we'll do uppercase. So ciphertext, let's say we kind of do, we'll have a name for each of these symbols eventually, I'm sure, but just for the ease of note-taking, let's go A, B, C, D. And then we'll just track the repetitions as we go. And you have G, H. That's assuming that it's a substitution cipher, but then the level description seems to imply that this is going to be the case. So let's just make sure we haven't seen any repetitions so far. I don't think we have, but we need to kind of track that. So yeah, single stroke is going to be C, so it's going to be Quite a few unique characters, in fact. But let's say this is going to be I, C, and then this kind of four-shaped symbol. Let's go J, and then 2 curved strokes. This seems... Actually, it's going to be a fairly complex substitution in terms of the character set. Triangle, rightward facing triangle, we had seen already, right? Yep, that was D. So, it's going to be I, C, J, K, D. And then, have we seen either of those? Let's go back. And then... yeah, I'll have to come up with some kind of system. This might be a lot of on-the-street busy work. Simply from the fact that I don't have a real pen and paper in front of me, in spite of being warned well ahead of time. Let's say these are LM. We're going to run out of time on this, but that's okay. Checkpoint's going to spit me right back here. Now, we did see some of these symbols earlier. I'm pretty sure. Let's just go back. This kind of P-shaped hook is new to me, I believe, so we'll N. And we'll eventually set up some kind of table, like a substitution table that takes us through the whole thing. This symbol we've seen already. It's N something D. Wait. Okay, I need to wait to do that, yeah. Also notice that there are these symbols underneath, that there are objects that are placed underneath, like these sideways trampolines, and for that matter over here, flower, vine, etc. I feel like that's going to be relevant to something that we haven't quite determined just yet. That it might affect the scrambling. I don't know if it's going to be some kind of modifier, but now what was this symbol here? This was the second last one from the end, so let's go L. Let's call it L. So this was a 7-character string. This is going to be NLDA LL, and then whatever this was, we've seen that one already, I'm pretty sure. That was the 3rd character up here. That's going to be J. And the moon, I think, is new. Assuming that each of these is a unique character, I don't actually know if that's the case. Have we seen a vertical line before, I think? We have not. I feel like the system is likely to just confuse me in the end, but that's okay. D, and then that's going to be something else. What are we up to? We're up to O. And then second character here is going to be... yeah, and this is, again, just a ciphertext that we're working with. Double arrow to the left. We had seen that at the end there. That's M. Okay. Moon we had not seen, I don't think. Let's just write down as many of the unique characters as we can along the way. So let's say P, Q, vertical stroke. Vertical stroke. This might not be the right approach at all, to be honest, but... the screenshot button would have saved this complete step, I think. Let's just go P, Q, R. Triple stroke we have seen before. Triple diagonal. I'm pretty sure that was B. It's a rather extensive character set, now that I look at it. this is going to be that third character again. It's going to be J. And then M. Okay, so that's our ciphertext. We will see that this goes all the way up to R. That's a significant number of characters, 20 unique characters. And so we need to set up some kind of table, for sure. And we'll just map each of these to a squiggle. And then let's call each of these right word I, triple diagonal, single horizontal, right word triangle. Then I don't even know what to call some of this stuff, actually. I don't know if this is a good system. Let's actually proceed with the... Well, yeah, no, let's actually write down these symbols once we actually see some clues in the level. Let's proceed with that first. Let's hide this for now. At least we know what we're dealing with. Yeah, chess bunzo, convention is ciphertext is upper. That's true, but at the same time I want the solution text to scream at me at the end, which we'll only be able to do this way. Okay, let's actually explore. This is a face. And Drake Icard D13, if I read that correctly. Yeah, I did play a fair bit of Maker 1 earlier in the year, having gone back to this to see some older levels by people I have come to know in Maker 2. This is primarily a Maker 2 stream, but it has been nice to go back to some of the levels in the first game and see some of the unique mechanics. Okay, so here's the moon, which is a harsh mistress. He releases this and I get the key. Notice that... I don't know if the P-switch would have released anything for me here. That's interesting. Let's actually hit the P-switch again to see if it affects any of these blocks. I doubt it will. One of the possible implications, of course, is that P is the letter denoted by the moon. Yeah, because I didn't actually see what the moon ultimately represents. I guess moon equals P. It's the likeliest thing to do here, so why don't we take a look at this, and we'll eventually just match it up. Let's go moon equals P. And we'll eventually just match it up to wherever the moon was in the main room. Yeah, it seems straightforward enough. I mean, we're going to have to collect a lot more clues than that. And I don't know what the relevance of the clown car is, but it might be an obstacle to kind of preclude me from going up. Also notice that if I jump on top of the donut blocks, I should be able to traverse... Whoops. Not like that, obviously. But I should be able to traverse that segment. Oh yeah, the clown car defended the key. The key is necessary for me to check some of the locked doors for some other codes. So I think I get the flow of this level, that you check the pipes, you get keys, you then are able to check some of the doors. I do want to see if I can get across here with the donut block strategy. I should be able to. And then that allows me to go upstairs on the lift, which is nice. Notice that there is the question box on the left that is going to give me a particular shape. Whoops. And also a key located there. It might not be relevant yet, though, simply because of the way that there is no scroll boundary in Maker 1. Let's try to make this jump. hang on. Yeah, maybe the whole exercise with doing the lowercase ciphertext was completely unnecessary now that I think about it. Because if we're going to jot down the shapes anyway and match them... Why am I still missing this jump? Hang on. This is obviously something I can make. Let's do it. We don't want to step on the thwomps, obviously. I may be able to step on this. Notice this track pattern here. Okay. Maybe this is an equal sign. And it could be equal to the POW, which is placed in such a way that I can grab it if I jump across. Yeah, this was the E character, lowercase E character. I don't exactly know what to call this shape, but it'll be the E character shape. We'll have to imagine that it's like a baby carriage or something. It kind of looks like that. I'm going to call it the baby carriage, actually. Let's do that. I believe it was the E shape above, but we'll match it accordingly. Is it the POW? I'm not really sure. It could be that we're misreading it. POW doesn't correspond to a character yet, obviously. We'll need to figure out what this is. It could be that the POW... oh, this is another character as well. It's got the... track over there. Also, yeah, the pattern that the thwomp drops in, it seems like it's supposed to kind of fall into this block on the left and complete the shape there. So it's kind of an F shape. It is an F. Yeah, so I think that's what it's going to be, is that if we think of these two as meshed, that's an F. But then why the T shape on this thwomp here? That I don't know yet. I think that's purely to get the POW so I can get past the muncher on the other side, but let's make sure we get the F down. Just to pay respects. Okay, so we've got a key, we've also got access to whatever's on the other side of that muncher. Also, the POW we could have taken with us to another room, I'm sure. POW minus P donut, or POW track pointing to P donut. POW minus P, oh, this is W. And W is the I, which was the first symbol that we saw. I'm convinced that it's POW minus P, O. So let's say rightward I is going to be W. Now, the other important thing is that we should be able to construct a message from partial information as well once we have enough characters to use. We can try to complete it and see all the clues, not just for style points, of course, but it may not be necessary given that past a certain point, the message will construct itself. Let's see what's through door number 1. This is another I. You've got the straight lines on either side. And you've got a spike, which is death. It's like an Illuminati symbol. It might actually just be I for Illuminati. And also with the... I mean, yeah, it's an I. I think it's fairly clear that the straight line is going to be an I, so... Let's open up the notes. And fill in I. I already bet that the first word is going to be something like wait. And that the way to exit this level is going to be, like, wait at a certain location. We don't have enough information to say that yet, but I strongly suspect that's going to be the case. So why don't we do clown car again so we can see the other key door, since we know that we have ready access to that key. Let's not die to the Goomba, of course. That's rather important. Okay, let's go back down. Tap this thing here. Yeah, we don't really strictly need the P to be active on the other side, I don't think, but looks like it's not going to affect anything. And we'll grab all the knowledge clues we can. All we have the keys to do so. Notice the birds. It is another minus operation, if you look at it. It's birdo minus bird, which is O. So the thing on the right side, which looks like an X, is going to be the letter O. Also notice that this is, of course, the level by Pink Birdo. Naturally, there needed to be a Birdo-related clue. So let's say the X is O. And then we'll fill in the shapes in the message once we get back to it. Especially since we're going to spawn there at checkpoint anyhow. Okay, let's check the other type over here. Lots to do. Notice the split over here that we're going to die at. It looks like we have cacti on either side. Notice too the music block that spawns up here and kind of gives you that initial sequence. Okay, so let's fill in some of what we have here, first of all. Because we had a couple of additional symbols that we've since discovered. We've got the moon over here, which is going to be the first letter of the last word, which was what we denoted as P. Which conveniently is just P. So P equals P. However, we suspect that P is not equal to NP. But we can't prove it. Not yet. Baby carriage. Which was the one I called the baby carriage? Here's the baby carriage and X. These are the first two characters. Here is going to be F-O. So I'm guessing it's going to be wait for. Because that's... Baby carriage is going to be... that. X is going to be O. I strongly suspect it's going to be... wait for... and probably wait for... something. Do we have an A yet? Does it match? No, this triple track does not match the other triple track, so it might be wait for something else. Wait for I, wait for O, E, or some kind of number perhaps. It could actually be a number, now that I think about it, because it could be, for example, wait for something seconds, except these don't match. Or minutes, for that matter, which would have unique characters. In fact, let's consider this. I actually think it's going to be wait for X minutes. And how do I know that? Because we've already seen the letter I matches up to this. It makes sense for the S to be a terminal character. In fact, hey, here's what we're going to do. We're going to hypothesize that this is going to be a message like wait for n minutes, and we're going to see what that gives me. I'm going to put parentheses beside the ones that we don't actually know for sure yet. Put a number there, and then we know, or rather we speculate, and we'll see if we can actually shortcut this dramatically. Because then we would just... Well, I mean, there are enough unique characters here that we won't necessarily get that much information to work with, but let's say U, and then, yeah, you see T is going to match over here. So T is going to match right word triangle in that message. So far it looks like our hypothesis is correct. And if it is the case, then we have wait for something minutes, and then we can fill in a couple of other things. There's going to be something, and then unfortunately my table is not very well set up here to match something E T, and then oh, maybe that doesn't quite work. Let's see. What is this? This was the I, right? Yeah. Between, which is a... Oh, between, probably. I bet it's between. In fact, it's an N, so it's definitely between. So that means that I've filled in this character. So we wait for a number of minutes between something else. So next character is going to be T. And we have something that we don't know yet. We then have the L character, which translates there. Probably between these. So let's speculate this is H. Wait for n minutes between these. PQ, RB, JD, M. That's a lot of unique characters we don't know yet. But we can probably, once again, do some kind of solution. Wait for n minutes between these something ants, and it's going to be unique characters that we have not yet seen. Oh no, we actually have the P. Actually, so this is not two characters. This is a single character, and it's plants. Let's see if this makes sense. P, L. Sorry, P, L. So this curved track plus vertical track is actually an L. So let's fix this. We actually just have 6 characters in that string. We only have unique characters up to Q. We're going to speculate this is L. And so we'll wait for n minutes between these pants. Okay, so the thing is that we actually can't really guess how many minutes that is going to be. Between these plants, I guess we have to wait here. Because the plants are the flower and the vine. Now, we can do one of two things. We can explore and see if we can find the equal sign, and probably fill in a bunch of clues along the way without actually bothering to solve them. Or we can just stand here and wait. Now, I'm thinking about the way that this level would be constructed and what that initial condition would be, like whether we have already kind of messed up that possibility or not. I'll actually need to pause for a moment. Okay, we will hopefully not be too severely interrupted today. But anyway, like I said, I have basically figured out the code already. Wait for n minutes between these plants, and we have a couple of things we can do. As I was saying, we can search for the number, which we'll probably do anyway, or we can just stand here and wait. We know that given the timer on this level, that there's going to be a limitation on the amount of time that I would need to stand there anyway. So we'll be fancy about this. We'll try to effectively speedrun. Oh, between these plants, though. Does it mean the muncher and the flower, or the flower and the vine? Anyway, we're going to stand here at 490 seconds on the clock, and we're going to see what happens if we just stand here for a little while. Because it would need to spawn something that allows me to exit this segment of the level, I think. So far, we haven't seen anything to stand on in this area that would reveal, for instance, something that would be directly above me. But I also don't know what kind of operation this would trigger. Between these plants. I certainly hope it doesn't mean between the muncher and the fireflower. I think it does make sense to this, for this to mean flower and vine, but we'll see. In the meantime, we might as well fill in some of the shapes in the key, since we're waiting anyway. In case I need this later, which may be the case. We might need this information again. So we have... What is this? The kind of... one curve, one vertical. It's not a curve exactly, it's sort of an angle. And then... yeah, the P is the moon. We know that. Other triple lines. And then we have a couple of things like this is kind of like a 4. This is kind of like a, we'll call it a side eye. Triangle, and then E is the open parallelogram. Let's say. And then let's say 2, or let's say rewind arrow. I like calling it a rewind. And yeah, we'll just continue to wait here. I think it was something like a 3-minute record on this level anyway, so we know that there's a bit of an upper bound on the clear, unless of course there is some kind of developer route that we don't know about. But I bet this will work. DI Progan, welcome. DI Progan, we just solved this level based on extremely partial information. I think I obtained 5 characters. That was enough to work with. Oh, more messages. Now, here's the issue. That we have a Jeopardy timer on this, and we never actually did see... First of all, what's the timer right now? It's about 290. That means we got in at about 310. That means we spent about 180 seconds, and so the number that we saw was actually a 3. Because we waited 3 minutes. Now we have a couple of characters to work with. And we'll have to figure out which door is correct. Because that's something that I didn't obtain any information for. We have F, we have O. We have the double tracks. It's probably just 4, I think. F-O-U. Whoa. Okay, we have to wait a few minutes again because I didn't see that I dropped on top of that. I knew the message said... Oh, no, never mind. This is a checkpoint. It's definitely 4th, I think. It looks like it says 4th. It is not. I didn't read the whole message. That's part of the problem here. That's okay. Did Pink Birdo create escape rooms? Clearly, yes, because this was a Pink Birdo level, as you can see. Okay, sound is working, it's just that we are in a musical room. F-O-U. U. Wait, no, that's not right. Oh, no, I completely misread my own code. It is going to be F-O. And then L-L. O-W. It is follow. Follow. And then I think we need to read the lines on the right side. Yeah, if you read the lines on the right side... Whoop. Oh, I think we broke something, but that's okay because this level was reasonably defended from that. If we say follow, we can see that... How many doors are there? Yeah, I'm looking at the tracks on the right side and how they're matched, but the tracks look like they are music loading tracks, not something that I'm otherwise too concerned about. So if it's follow, I would guess that we have to follow the fire pattern, not the music loading tracks on the right. Let me get the text off the screen first of all. So you have the pipe on the right side, you have music notes that are just music notes. Oh, okay, so this pipe spits out this guy. And I think maybe there's a particular intersection that I need. Okay, no, let's watch this because if we drop in and we follow this position here, the deflection pattern is going to be symmetrical. I don't think I actually understand this clue yet. But maybe they just go down a particular pit and that just means we go into the middle. And that is correct. Okay. Oh, there's a message here at the very end, which is important, I think, because the whole point of playing this level is that we are trying to collect a clue for a different level entirely. And so the ending message is this. I should have actually jotted down all these characters, but the ending message is going to be F, then 3 diagonal lines A, something that I don't remember, this little bucket shape, FA something E, the face on the left, I don't really know what that's about just yet. I suppose the pink coins were just a complete diversion to begin with. It could be face, actually. Do we have a C here somewhere? I'll go back to the opening room, in fact, to see if we can figure out that third character here. But it looks like W, E. Oh, it's farewell. Okay, it's farewell. That's all it is. So this one was the one that became R. So let's just say bucket. It just says farewell. Obviously, we'll check. It just says farewell, though, so... That's okay. We know what we need to know, and we'll just grab the clear. Pretty straightforward, in fact, even though I just had partial notes here. We might actually go back through the level quickly, just so I can see the other clues, because we solved this on such partial information. I got, what, total 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 3 was kind of established by reverse reasoning. We figured this out from 5 characters, which is great. But I do want to see how some of the other characters were encoded, just out of curiosity. Even if we do already have the solution in the bag. Because after all, the point is to experience the level, not just blast through it. Yeah, I guess this coin here was a total diversion as well, given that we now know where all the coin placements are going to be. So yeah, let's just see all the rooms that we have not looked at yet. Just to see. Not going to bother taking notes, I don't think, because we understand what everything is already. Ah, yeah, no, I see what this is. You have to hit the P-switch in the other room, then you come back here, and the P-switch reveals the relevant character. In fact, we can show you how that looks. So that's why there is a clown car challenge here, to kind of get out with the P-switch still active if you can, which is definitely not trivial. Yeah, you have to go quickly. And then drop into the other room. And then it shows you this is an E, which we know already. But as I suspected, that is how to do it. Did we ever check this bottom door? Yes, we did. And this one gives you a mirror image, I think. This was for the W. Now, why would this represent a W? Because you can think about the horizontal line as reflected. Oh, because it matches the W and the M, I believe. And the kind of rotational reflection matches the horizontal line, which is the I, to... Oops. The other thing. You created a more complicated crypto recently, DI program. You were toying around with the idea to create a level specifically meant for coders. Interesting. I mean, there are definitely people who will do it. Maybe very few, but it's not the most obscure thing I would have come across, I don't think. As long as people know what they're getting into. So yeah, this reflected the W and the M for minutes. And this is interesting, that this became the single vertical line, but why would that have revealed that as the letter I through that diagonal reflection, I wonder? Maybe that's just there to illustrate that as a reflection, but I wonder why that clue would establish that that would represent I. But anyway, let's not think too hard about that. Let's just see the rest. Also, I wonder if you drop back into the entry room, whether anything would have revealed itself. Ah, one-way pipe. Because, of course, this is Mario Maker 1, and Maker 1 is capable of that sort of thing. Notice the spot on the right side with the double mantras. So, yeah, this shows you A, B, C with a triangle. And then A plus B, A squared plus B squared equals C squared. The square represents the number 2 because it's squared. So that's interesting. I wonder how this clue actually works. I mean, it's there just to give you the letter A. It doesn't give you anything but the letter A, I don't think. I don't think it reveals anything but the letter A in this room, as far as I know. I think this is just Yeah, an obstacle for the boos in a particular pattern. We have 5 boos. Stretching this way and that. Oh yeah, you have this object on the left side that looks like an A, but we already have an A, so... that's okay, we'll just see how things match up. And I think this that we're traversing now has a particular correspondence as well, perhaps. Yeah, that just gives you a key. Ah, yes, it just gives you a bunch of L's. And did we actually have that? One angled, one vertical is L? Yeah, we had that in the notes already, of course. So this purely gives you the letter L. I don't think there's anything else here, except, of course, that it gives you the key, which you do need for one of the other doors. However, we don't necessarily need to retrieve that key. I don't think. Because any keys will do. For any of the doors, so since these are purely just knowledge checks, you can grab one key. Notice that you can actually just grab an extra key here before proceeding to the final room, I think. But anyway, this gave you 2 stars. Oh, because this would have kind of coincided with the time of release of 2YMM. Also, we're supposed to listen to the music here. It's a staff. And it's a birthday song, birthday cakes, yeah. Yeah, I think this had some relation to the 2YMM project, as you can see. Which is why the shape that we see on the side, for example, it's the letter U, and I don't know why it's the letter U. Happy birthday to you, I guess. Happy birthday to you, I guess. Yeah. That's the only way that it makes sense to me immediately, but we do know that it is a U, so... let's just go around in case we retrieve more keys. And then here's the R. And that corresponds to this nice shape down below. I don't actually know what this clue is necessarily. We know that it's the bucket shape ultimately that we needed. But I don't exactly know how that corresponds. Because I'm just looking at this here and thinking that the L shape here kind of matches the doubled L shape of the ice blocks on the left side. And so perhaps we're thinking about removing that or displacing that some other way. I don't exactly see it. This one. Thankfully we didn't need it. So yeah, we haven't actually been solving every room, given that I just skipped ahead to the solution, but... rightward triangle, this is the letter T. Why is it the letter T? Because the T is formed by the skewers. When the skewers crash together, you see T as the remaining background. Tub and Chub, yes, it is another Make 'em Want to Stream. We have solved this level already, but I solved it with partial information, and we didn't use all the clues, so I'm just coming back here and I'm just seeing all the remaining clues for fun, to see how many of them we can decipher. But yeah, this is a prelude to another much larger puzzle level that I'll be doing next. Yeah, it is just a substitution cipher level. It's actually pretty simple. Like, I solved it within getting 5 characters. Which is why we're going through the rest, just to see all the clues I never looked at to begin with. No, I just went for that key because it's easy. I just want to see this key door and the remaining pipes. This is telling me a whole bunch of stuff. Que sera, sera, yeah. Whatever will be, and this is, I think, the letter B. I think it's the letter B. Anyway, did we ever actually have the letter B in our solution set? I don't think so. This hook... What even was the hook? Oh yeah, we did have the letter B because it was the first letter of between these plants. But that's what it is. It's the letter B for that reason alone. And that was the thing that I denoted as the L. So yeah, this that was a nice clue actually. I quite like that one. So the other one, the only one I feel like I don't get so far is the ice clue. The ice clue, I don't know how that was supposed to be read. Whoop Whoop was able to fish up a Maker1 level code of yours through a YouTube video. Oh, I see. A Whoop Whoop is not the name of somebody. Whoop Whoop is you cheering that you managed to fish out your Maker1 level code, which would also allow me to fish out the rest of your level codes, which is very convenient. I think I needed the POW block from earlier in order to get further here, unless it's just a time check. Yeah, it's just a time check. Now, why would this be the number 3? Because it is on the right side of the clock, hence number 3. Oh, that's interesting, that we could have dropped in down below and seen whatever was on the top left here. Let's go through some of these doors, though. Yeah, I should have taken the POW, hit the POW, and then come down here to get to those coins. As you can see, yeah, just coins, but that would allow me to proceed from that location. Let's get out and do this segment again, just to grab the POW. So yeah, this R clue is the one that I never actually got. I guess we needed to construct the bucket shape, but I still don't really exactly see how that managed to assemble together, even though I kind of know the solution already. Okay, let's do this again, just so we can wrap around up top. And I guess we can't really get through this location, can we? I wonder. Because if we drop a POW, it drops all the coins, it drops out the munchers on that side, then why would that be important? I mean, I guess I could try to drop on top of a POW as it's falling and jump it, but I don't see that I can do that. Seems like an unusually technical trick for a level of this nature. But if we dropped POW, yeah, I can't really wrap around to the munchers anyway, I don't think. Oh, I was actually a little ahead. If I dropped POW and then rode on it, I could have ridden it up to that pipe. You know what? We can take the POW, respawn through here, and now, interestingly enough, POW logic through pipes works a little bit differently in Maker1. I think. No. Only from pipe spawns, though, not from placement in the level. But whoops, tried to drop on it again, and that did not work. Hang on. I do want to see if I can do it. Because I get the feeling that that's going to take me up to the pink coin that we saw at the beginning. When you were brand new to Maker1, you and Berto used to clash about level design. That's... I mean, I'm kind of wondering what you would have clashed about, unless... Yeah, I would imagine that there were maybe some differing views on whether certain obstacles should kill the player, but... Okay, I'm not going to spend too long on this since we have solved the whole thing already. ages ago. I just want to figure out whether I can get onto that pipe on the left side. That's interesting. Yeah, okay. I feel like if we came here with a P-switch, maybe... No, I feel like it is going to be the power drop. It's just that we don't have the technique to do it. Because if I smash everything here... Can I actually jump up to that location? Maybe I can. Yes, I can. Oh yeah, that's easy then. That's nothing. Ah, yes, and it showed you something equals N. And the arrow equals N. We already had the N clue ages ago, but what was it? It was the kind of number 4 with the missing bar. I guess that was kind of like the half arrow. Like the arrow with the right side shorn off, so... That does make sense. This is not an enterable pipe anyway. So yeah, at this point we've seen the whole thing. I'm not going to wait the requisite number of minutes to show you the exit, but I believe we have gotten everything that we want out of this, unless there is any additional secret message that I don't know about. Yeah, but I think I've checked everything at this point. I'm just looking over my notes quickly to see if there was anything that we did not receive a clue for. We did get the H, didn't we? I think we did. Because that was... Yeah, I'll wait for a couple of minutes between these plans. It was these, it was this second character here. Ah, yes. The single vertical and a single horizontal were reflected over the diagonal. Why would the H be reflected like that? That doesn't seem to make sense. Yeah, because a single vertical is the H. Let me just check my notes here for a moment. I'll just show you how this looks so far. Yeah, this was the half arrow. That's the thing that I denoted as 4. We saw the M because of the W reflection. We saw the J. Did we see the J? The question. No, that's not a J. That's number 3. The 3 is the clock. We have that. We actually have seen everything. It's just that. Yeah, hang on. I messed up my system here. This is... I'm not describing the clues here, I'm describing the actual shapes. That's okay. Let's not fuss around with that too much. What was I doing? Oh yes, the reflection room. If I can even remember where that was. I don't remember which room was which, that's the thing. We've been through so many of these already. Was it this one? Dear Program, you were saying you were fiercely into no hint hardcore levels and didn't want to hand out hints. Yeah, it's kind of interesting what has or hasn't changed with the maker culture around difficulty over time. Some things have no doubt stayed the same. Was it a door or was it a pipe that took me to the reflection room? Anyway, I don't remember. I'm just trying to think about how the H was established through that diagonal mirror. But I don't remember which room that was in. Ah, yes, this one. So why would, on the right side, the single vertical line for the H and the I match together? Ah, because if you're thinking about the capital I, written not as a single vertical column, but written in such a way that you have the top bar and the bottom bar, that reflects to the H. Okay, that solves it. That solves it. And yeah, it's always nice, First Black Man in Space, that whenever we play Maker 1 here, it seems like it's always a very fresh experience in terms of seeing things that are kind of out of fashion now, or are not possible anymore, or some combination of the two. Like I was saying, I suspect that some of these track patterns are not actually possible to place in Maker 2, but I'm not sure about that. I think there are some placement rules in Maker 2 that do prevent these shapes from being placed quite so close together, but I could be wrong because I'm not somebody like a music level expert who really knows his tracks. Anyway, we got a solution to this quite a while ago. I don't want to spend a few minutes waiting just to see it again. So we will proceed to the main event that I had in mind for today's stream. And we will call that. So 1 second while I dig up our next code. So for anybody wondering about the code for this level, this is something that you can see on screen, but I'll paste it in the chat again just in case. Did Pink Birdo ever get Mario Maker 2? Good question. I know they were a holdout for a while, and that they might have been in Maker 2 under an alternate identity that I may or may not have suspicions about, but as far as I know, that was never confirmed to me personally, so. But there have been suspicions, let's just say. Not under the Pink Birdo name, unfortunately. Okay, we're going to do... So this was the first puzzle in the Perplexing Puzzles project, and we're going to skip right to the last one, which I'm told will take me quite a bit of time and which we might not even finish today. But let me dig up the code for that, and we'll punch it in. And it will be a mystery what the code is because it is only currently on my Wii U touchscreen. We'll find out in a moment if I've entered it correctly. So this is the return of Ichigo Mole. Now, I have been told by the maker, John, otherwise known as Tetratarix, or Four Wings if you are familiar with Maker 2, and a kind of known specialist in mega puzzles. I've been told that apparently there has never been a live-streamed clear of this level that collects all of the optional objectives. Apparently there was a video that was not live-streamed, like a YouTube edit, that did get the final exit. But as far as I know, doing the entirety of it, including bonus objectives, live has not, to our knowledge, been done. Now, the puzzle description will tell you why I suspect I may not finish this in one sitting, although, of course, maybe sometimes we can get by with partial information and a real spark of intuition, who knows. But even the average Tetratarix level sometimes takes me about upwards of an hour and a half, so. And those are the more straightforward Maker 2 ones, too. The Return of Ichigo Mole by John. The long-awaited sequel to the infamously difficult puzzle level, Ichigo Mole and His Socks. Put on your thinking cap and clear out your schedule, because this level is an ADP, all-day puzzle. A puzzle that's designed to take even longer to solve than the 4 or 5 hours that several streamers spent on Ichigo Mole's first Super Mario Maker incarnation. If you're prepared for an extra challenge, see whether you can collect the 5 optional pink coins to unlock a hidden area at the end. And if you do, don't forget the code that you learned in Pink Birdo's Pen and Paper Pyramid. Oh, did we learn a code, though? Here's the problem. We played through the Pink Birdo level, and I don't feel like I actually learned a code. We had a couple of messages. In Pink Birdo's level, we had the main solution, which was wait for n minutes between these plants. We have the word follow, and we have farewell. But I don't think we actually learned a code, which is a problem, because it means we may have to go back to the Pink Birdo level to scan it in further detail afterwards, depending on what the shape of this final lock will be. So we'll have to think about that as we go, because it's possible I missed something. Anyway, thank you so much, First Black Man in Space, for the cheers. Let's get right into it and see how far we get today. We may or may not finish it this sitting, depending on whether it lives up to the promise of its running time. But we'll do our best. So we've solved a couple of John or Tendertarix's levels in both Maker 1 and Maker 2 before. We have not done the original Ichigo mole, so any references to that I will not be able to catch. But let's see how we do today. Find. Notice the eye here, this little typographic alteration there. Find the exit. You have a mole, you have a couple of colors. We don't know if any of this is relevant yet, but it looks like eventually we'll want to bust through this. Let's check this. Yeah, it looks like something will eventually, for example, send a big shell careening through all of this, bouncing around, and opening a pathway for me that will go forward to the other pipe. We'll probably have to drop in up above to spawn that at some point later on. There are 5 pink coins in total. Again, that's the optional objective, so as we know, as we run around, a mole is going to step on the trampolines, not the trampolines, rather, step on the note blocks and do something. If it steps on a note block to the right, it's going to be escortable up here, and I was trying to escort it safely, but we didn't manage to do that successfully. But I suspect we will need to do something of that sort, just to escort it to a certain location. Anyway, let's not do that either. Looks like if the big bomb blows up, that it's going to activate the POW block that we see on the right side. Yeah, let's do this safely. Let's try to get to safe locations. That's going to drop in there. I see. We want to bounce the mole up here so it falls into that location. But we can't do that yet. With what we know now, we have to possibly take another mole or take another approach to this section. Notice the cloud over here as well. I saw those hard blocks on the left, and of course my Mario Maker 2 brain instinctively went, aha, scroll break. But that is obviously not going to be the case. And we have a walking bomb down here. It's going to blow up. Alright, we need to... This is a very large layout, obviously. We'll need to proceed somewhat systematically. Interesting blaster gate here. I would assume eventually if there's some kind of spawn blocking pattern, that's going to raise the gate at some point. That's the thing you have to know about Tendertarix levels, is that they very often have these very elaborate locking mechanisms to them that mark your progression or act as anti-cheese tools as you get into the latter parts of the layout. Nowhere to go so far, unless there was a way to make that mole here survive and eventually make its way over. But I'm just looking at this and thinking, probably not until I've managed to do something else first. So let's just follow the flow of the level. We see checkpoint 1 up ahead. We also see a mushroom that is not going to bounce on anything for me, but which is leading me forward and encouraging me to chase it, which may or may not be the right idea. Mushroom here would not be that useful except for breaking this open. Do we want to break it open? Yes, we do. Can't really progress here otherwise so far. Notice that because of this one tile gap here, we do have to take damage if we want to get back across. Okay, those blocks are respawnable, which is important to know. And this will be a damage gate, which is interesting. I wonder why we would want a damage gate here, just immediately after getting the mushroom. Arrow and door, we'll see what that's about. Okay, we've got 2 down arrows here. Is this reachable? Not yet. And then we have the flower up ahead. Yeah, it looks like... Well... I think this should be able to hit the bomb. I kind of have to remember Maker 1 rules here and there. I actually kind of get the sense that if I jump in here, it will hit a block or something. But no, we'll just go straight through. And we'll lose the flower immediately. But if I am careful, which I'm not, no, if you take the flower, you do lose it unless you are Tall Mario, I think. And yeah, no, DI Progan, I am aware of the mini hop. It's so rarely used, I actually had not considered it at that point, especially because in Mario Maker 1 you don't have the ducking animation to kind of reveal that. But I'm definitely aware of that interaction, so... And I would kindly request, by the way, just no backseat for now, just yet. But of course, if you spy anything interesting, feel free to shout. But yeah, no, this I feel like it was reasonable that I could have figured it out fairly quickly. Yeah, infinite P-switch. And that gives me the mole because it gets me within the mole's spawning box, which is important to know. And this looks like it's purely going to be a damage gate once again. So, here we are. And it looks like that is going to give me some kind of additional progression that is going to manipulate the level somehow with the blocks that have continued to open up. So let's go down. And this time it's going to give me the boot. Yeah, so look at this. It's because the bomb position, depending on how you spawn into this location, and what the initial state is when you come back to this room, it affects which blaster opens up. And that affects the item that you get as a result, which in this case allows me to go up here. And it doesn't really get me anywhere else, of course, because of the boot bounce. I would lose the boot on the other side. Now, I should be able to head up with the boot, I think. But let's see. Great. That's a fantastic mechanism. Obviously, we're going to check a few things like that, so we're going to check the arrow over here, because that is what is being suggested. Yeah, I guess the blocks here are there specifically to prevent me from doing any trickery to get up, but no, I can get up just fine. Yeah, because it looks like you have to activate the bomb first before you can get over to checkpoint 1 anyway, which means that there'll probably be another mole spawn that we need to follow. And this door is matched to something. Let's just see. Oh yeah, we can hit some of these gates. That is a big mole. Perhaps I shouldn't have done that because we might have wanted to escort it across. There's a big mole that would get me something new. This is nothing yet. It could be that we eventually get the Buzzy Helmet to do some bumping from below, but we're going to open that up, and then... yeah, nothing through here yet, obviously. The doors appear to be matched, but why is that useful? Let's like this and just scout. Whoops, oh, that was a mistake. That's okay, we know how to get more. And it was timeout anyway, so not a big deal. We'll just try to wrap around this whole series of interactions fairly quickly. Should be fairly simple to reestablish at this point. Yeah, we do need the POW activation because of the Muncher Gate on the right side. I'll need to confirm how you can't enter pipes in Maker 2 with Donut and Muncher in front of it. Yeah, any kind of obstruction like that. Half-tile obstructions in Maker 2. I feel like I definitely would have seen that by now if it were valid in the second game, but pipe entrance in general is just much less flexible. And yeah, no, I know you can't. That's... yeah, this was a key interaction. We didn't need this for anything else, right? Okay, let's remember what the efficient path is, because I'll likely need to repeat this quite a few times before we hit CP1, so let's get the mushroom. Chase it down. And grab it over here. Yeah, no point in going through here, obviously, so we'll... interestingly enough... no, I don't think the donut does anything for me yet, but we'll see. And we'll freeze over here. Yeah, this is one of the very few puzzle levels I've seen ever actually require this interaction. For a good reason. I mean, I think you have to be a decently advanced player to know it. And it's just so rarely used, it's easy to forget. No, it's not easy to forget. I mean, if you see it, you do tend to remember it. Always reminds me, of course, of the other very well-known SMB3 Warp Whistle tribute that was in Celeste. Really speaks to how iconic that specific thing is in SMB3, that I don't think you can get away with that kind of Easter egg reference with respect to nearly any other game. Like, I don't think that style of secret, like in Celeste was already kind of pushing it, but like, I don't think a sort of referential secret like that works in pretty much any other circumstance I can think of. But of course I'll see if I can think of other examples. Yeah, so we need, as I established earlier, boot over here. And then over here. We never did play around with this door. I'm just going to try not to lose the boot though. Now let's keep that guy alive because I think I might want to despawn and respawn him. He's going to come across over here and lead him down. But then nothing is going to bounce him until we destroy this area, or... Yeah, I think I need a bomb to destroy this area, and then that would give me access to the other trampoline. Maybe. If we have access to a trampoline up here, we have a lot more flexibility of what we can do with this guy. But in the meantime, we'll just leave him be, perhaps. It's going to open up. This I can just jump up directly with a boot instead of pushing him at all. Notice that you can potentially send that mole up here and through to the left. I think that's, in fact, fairly likely. Or we find some way to dunk him over here. Kind of suspect we don't have the means to do any of that right now, though. We have to think about where this is going to take me. Yeah, so the door here sends me down to the muncher, but it works as a way to progress through this. No, I'll bump my head, I think. Or will I? Yeah, no, this doesn't actually get me any meaningful progress. Because I'm still kind of back to where I was before. But, let's see. You think you played this back in the days, but you don't remember a true ending. Yeah, well, we'll see about that true ending. Definitely going to hunt. Yeah, so eventually we do need to unlock this area to checkpoint, and I think we needed some kind of bomb that was activated by the big wall up top. We just didn't get far enough to see that. Because there's something that I need to do to dunk it in that position, which we will have to establish. Yes, I'm pretty sure it's going to be some kind of progression that allows a big mole to get me to blow this up. I don't see yet how that's going to work, and we'll have to establish something. I can come through here on the left side, of course. I wonder if I can obtain anything that I can then walk over to the left side here. I would need to think about what I can do to use this block. This block really does look specifically like it's there to send something over to this side, but in that case, how do we get something through here? I would definitely need to bomb this location. How can I have access to that? We can dislodge this. We know this gives you access here. And then that drops down. Now, why would I want to come through here instead of through the door? I can't, because how that works. But then let's see about these blocks. And yes, indeed, Atlantis it is. Maker 1. One thing we haven't played with yet is these moles. I think one thing we didn't take advantage of was the fact that we can lower these gates selectively in order to send this big mole down a specific side that we want. In this case, yeah, if we send it to the left, it comes down here, it goes down, whoops. Yeah, the objective is to send it up to that top left slot. I just need to think about how to make it happen. Because, of course, there is so much to potentially interact with. Yeah, notice all of these gates over here. Yeah, that's just part of the main gating mechanism when you spawn in through the pipes, of course. Can I get here with the boot and spring? No, not both. I'm thinking about ways that I could potentially carry the trampoline now up into one of these locations, because one of the issues right now is the trampoline is stuck in the lower level. But anyway, let's try to get through this segment quickly. Now, what if I just took damage and went back to the left? I wonder if anything changes spawning-wise. We'll keep that in mind. Notice, too, that this just breaks open. So potentially that becomes something interesting. Maybe not. Now, you do need to wrap around. Yeah, that's the thing with Maker 1, of course, is that because the pipes aren't necessarily matched, there are significantly greater permutations of entrances and exits that you need to keep mental track of as you play your way through one of these levels. Infinite P-switch. I wonder if I went back without the infinite P-switch. No, I can't actually do that. Notice this up here. That seems really important. Particularly if I spawn a mole. No, the mole's going to be trapped by the one-way panel, so that's not going to be it. But yeah, Muncher and Donuts. Oh, well. Yeah, that's the exit, of course. One coin up there, that's interesting. That's something we'll have to keep in mind when we get further along. You know what? Okay, no, decided that too late. That's okay, infinite P-switch, we can take this whenever. Activate the mole. Or can we? Yes. Yes, we can. Wonder what the down arrow is telling me here that we don't already know. I wonder if we can do anything else with fire. I don't think so. But yeah, that's an interesting coin placement. We'll have to think about it. Okay, that opens up. We tended to go straight for the boot previously, didn't explore too much in this area. Just seeing what else we could potentially do with the boot that I haven't considered, but we would need to get it back over here in the first place. Love that dispenser. We haven't seen what else we can do with the spring for that matter. Whether there's something we can raise with it. Hang on. Don't know if this is going to be anything interesting. Now everything is paneled up there. Let's just get back to where we were. Yeah, because it's this door by the muncher that I don't get yet. Because what would be the benefit of it? I mean, that is the progression path, obviously, but it seems like the main thing that we don't know how to deal with right now is the big mole, in terms of understanding how to get it back up in this location. Now, we'd need to lead it to a certain position. If you lead it all the way to the left, and it falls into this area, what does that give you? Because you need to place something here. You need to place something like the sideways trampoline, and with the clouds in the way and no SMB2 mushroom to pluck them with, doesn't look like we have a clean solution to that. So I need to think about how to escort this back upstairs. Ah, I do have a solution. It's because you drop this, and then once you have opened up this passageway, you have a clear passage to go up with a spring in hand. And that's how to do it. And then you just escort the mole to the left. It's actually fairly simple. Actually, surprisingly simple. And we'll try to take both of these. Just to be fancy, we have 78 seconds, so can't dawdle too long here. Let's not drop the spring down into the abyss, that would have been awfully embarrassing. And let's spawn a mole. That should get me over to the checkpoint soon enough. Yeah, we lead it over. We open that up, and we've got a couple of seconds to get 2 checkpoints. I would probably have to take this with me, unless we despawn and respawn it. You know what? We can just get another boot. We've got all the time in the world. Yeah, this was just a matter of understanding that one passage earlier. Oh! If we were still damage boosted, we actually could have just gotten through the door. I think we would have had enough time to do it. But that's okay, because we can just take the fire flower, I think. So yeah, no mushroom for me, but that's because you have the mushroom check here. I'm sure that wouldn't actually have gotten me anything, except perhaps that could have gotten me the pink coin eventually. I don't know, we'll keep that in mind. We'll think about that door in case we have a clear opportunity for taking it. Notice too that because of the overlap between the bricks and the semi-solid, that the bricks take priority over the semi-solid and prevent me from doing the SMB3 bump here, unless I have something like P-switch activated. Okay, can't get down there yet. And yeah, that lodges you in. And we'll just think about how to do a P-switch activation. We'll eventually have to dunk something here. We are not within the buzzy drop range. But we can reset over here, and this seems like it's there to tease out the mole that's going to come down the left side. And we're just going to let it follow. That was not a very elegant way to do that. We'll try it again. Yeah, if the mole drops, it does not really get you anything over here. I do need to lead it forward. And then once it does that, it is going to have to eventually make it over to this position here. Probably just by getting a nice big bounce over here. That would maybe put it on top of the semi-solid or something to that effect. We will go back and check. Yeah, you've got this whole mandatory interaction here that's going to get me through. I maybe should have considered taking the flower. Yeah, I need full forward momentum for that, I think. Whoops. Not what I meant to do, but that's okay. Yeah, I shouldn't have doubled back there, because it did slow down the mole as it was supposed to get across. Alright. Let's go up. Lead it down. Lead it to the left, and then we'll go all the way over here, and good. That's a safe position. That means I'll be allowed to get up here, which then allows me to get this drop. And then that allows me to get the stiletto, which does a what for me here? What does the stiletto do? It allows me, I think, to bump my way up to the flower, because if you go with a stiletto and just kind of bump like that, that is within reach, which is great, because it also allows me to go through this door. Infinite P switch to the left, that's familiar from earlier. We just jump and bomb. And then... Now why would I want to do that? Oh, well, yeah, I'd need to take damage anyway in order to get through this curve here. Notice this bonus coin here. We don't know how to get it yet, but we'll keep it in mind in case that becomes relevant later. If I drop the boot, I'm able to go through the pipe. Otherwise, I can't actually go under. I think I do have to drop the boot unless I activate something elsewhere. But yeah, we'll keep some of the coin placements in memory for later, and then we'll see what kind of power progression this gives me now with the opening of the third blaster, which gives me a big boot. Fantastic, because that allows me to do a lot of manipulation when it comes to things like punchers and really anything else. We're going to open up this gate quickly so we can send this mole over. I feel like I needed to stomp on something here, probably the mole, in order to raise the POW. But I don't know if it does that on enemy impact. That's a good question, in fact. Because it looks like I need something that's going to give me a level surface here to hit the POW and send it upwards. Unless, of course, the idea here is that you just spawn at a door and then you hit the POW in order to get through the Muncher stack on your way back over, which would make sense. Notice here that this allows me to go to the door, because I can bounce on the left side. But we'll see what we can do with the mole first, I think. Because the door might just be a reset anyhow. Nope, that was wrong. Send the mole over, it would bounce here, it would bounce here. And we'll see what else goes on. That's going to be a power-up checkpoint, so to speak. before killing this, I kind of want to see where I can go with it. Whoops. Kind of wonder if there was anything up there that was relevant, but so far not so much. I do like this boot dispenser, it's a very interesting design. Yeah, that opens up. Now why would that be relevant? Because that allows me then to come up here. Eventually we'll do some other bounces. If I run through here, what does that do? Nothing. At least nothing now. So, yeah, mold needs to be led over here in order to hit the P-switch. That's fairly understandable. We'll just have to figure out how to do it. And I think I do need to respawn through the reset door to try that. Also notice, it looks like there was a safe location to land on the left side there. In fact, I think that may be worth checking. Let's do it. How do I know? Because of the ground tile doodad there, which is not actually a clue. No, that's just the end of the semi-solid pattern. That's the little knob at the end of the semi-solid zigzag. It's okay. We were quite close to timeout anyhow, so no harm done. And let's wrap around. Send it over, tuck ourselves into this very dangerous looking corner. Yeah, interesting. Because this coin would require that I probably send a smaller object to the left there. Not the big shell, because the big shell is currently blocked by a one-way panel, but if we have a smaller object, like a shell or something that I carry in with me to this part of the level, or something similar, then I can just fire it. It would dunk that coin, dunk that note block rather, and possibly get that coin. Not exactly sure, but we have to keep possibilities in mind. Anyway, let's grab the flower. Kind of wonder, we didn't loop back here previously. Let's see if that will get me anything. I believe so, but let's check a few things today. Well, no. That was incorrect, although oddly enough I could have boosted through that area. Ah, and now the pipe is blocked. Okay. No stiletto for me, then. What happens if I take damage here? Ah, then I cannot actually get through. But anyway, we'll get through the exit and we'll just reset this area. Yeah, I'd need to spawn them all over again just to repeat this area. I do want to make sure I don't inadvertently kill it. That will be necessary. Do that. do a slide into the landing? I don't think I can, but oh, yes I can. But I'd take damage anyway as I make it to the right side, so... Or would I? Okay, no, I would. We do need Fire Flower plus Boot, though, in order to get past next gate, which we've seen already. And yeah, we'll take some punishment. I kind of wonder, no, yeah, drop it. Yeah, I guess the idea here is that you would need to dunk this or have a helmet here. Perhaps. No, but I suspect that it is the note block that is going to nudge the muncher over by a step. Okay, a big boots. Wonder if trampoline plus big boot is going to get me anything useful. I don't necessarily think so. No, but it is worth wondering. Just in case it does come in handy somehow. What was I using it for? Yeah, I need to match this. Interestingly enough, you can now drop the big boot and take the trampoline up here. Which might be important or something. Yeah, because you just needed the big boot to get rid of the muncher on the other side, and the muncher gate that's to the right here, of course, but I'm sort of wondering if you get this trampoline down here out in advance. Also notice that if we get big stiletto here later, we can just chop through this. That's very important to know. I kind of suspect, given the blaster pattern we've seen so far, that big stiletto will perhaps become relevant. Especially because it would allow me to drop through certain locations like this. And punch right through. And okay, let's unlock the gate. And we know that's a reset on the left side. Let's try to keep the mole alive. And yeah, we need to bump it up. Pretty clear that we'll need a particular pattern here to get it to behave. Let's be extra careful here not to kill it. I feel like I needed a helmet here, perhaps, to get it to behave accurately, or just bump it from below. Well, supposing we get it down here. Do something to escort it. Let's see. And what do we want to escort it for to begin with? It's not going to be for any of that, but a reset door. Yeah, we can bounce it up here. squeeze it across somehow. P-switch. Yeah, we want to get over to P-switch. We established that quite a while ago. But we pretty much went to full timeout to recover our progress. Just to this segment alone. I'm thinking about how we could get the mole up here, though, given that it's not going to be fitting in this one tile slot by itself. Alright, let's try to recover our progress as quickly as we can. Yeah, I can see why this would take a while, just because some of our attempts are going to run fairly long. Especially from various mechanical mistakes I make from time to time, which is a staple of puzzle playing. A little stiletto. Now, what can we do here? We'll just proceed. I wonder if there's any particular purpose to taking the stiletto up here. No, that just resets. But there are certain locations here that make me wonder about eventual helmet use, or the big stiletto in particular. Okay, that's done. Yeah, not a lot of flexibility in terms of held items right now. That will be something to keep in mind. Oh, nearly died to that. Would need at the very least a regular boot up here, unless we... some other way to get there. Let's see. Yeah, because suppose we send another bomb over. So this is how it's going to work. Let's say eventually we get the big stiletto. That allows me to cut through these blocks. That means that I would be able to lead a mole over to the left. I would be able to stomp on the equivalent of this block on the right side. Come over here. Lead it over here. Big stiletto should be able to cut through this entire column as well with a big stomp. I don't know if that is what we need, given that we do need to figure out this side somehow, but we'll get there. Okay, let's see here. And yeah, we do know how all this is going to work. Let's open this up. Drag the mole over, drop it through, and then okay, we need to kill some of this stuff in advance. So previously we were moving the mole over to this position. How can we improve on that? Well, we want to send it up here. Whoops, didn't want to kill it. It was a mistake. It's okay, if we destroyed this, that would give me, yeah, partial progress. So we had a big mole, and if it comes over here, what do we do with it? Bounces on that, bounces on this. Yeah, we know this bounce doesn't get you quite high enough from the mole's perspective. You know, this gets you through that area here. Let's see. Really does look like these were built to be deliberately destroyed, but this cloud donut configuration makes me think as well about whether donut positioning is going to matter. Yeah, current limit of my progression is just figuring out what we do with this big mole. What could possibly be accomplished with it? Just gonna nudge that note block out of curiosity. Yeah, because there's a cross. Why would it? Given that the big mole isn't going to get through these one tile high gaps in the first place. It's going to come down, it's going to run down. It needs some kind of bounce here to get here. Bounces it up. And then it's going to go straight to the right from here, which just takes it back down below the bumper. Yeah, this is as far as we've gotten. And unfortunately, we are going to hit the timeout fairly often, I think, on the way here. We may actually have to continue this in a separate session much earlier than I expected, because I might need to be a little more awake to do something on this scale. Yeah, we come over here, we grab the boots. Is there anywhere to send them all other than right here? I think I need to create some kind of bridge, perhaps. But I currently don't really see a way to do it. Could be something to do with lowering those donut blocks, but I'm not quite clear. It would seem unusually kind of specific to doing the platforming skill set. We should always be on the lookout for... Whoa, within range. Always on the lookout for some of the SMM1 type like block interactions, of course. There might be something even more obscure than that going on here. But we shall see. wonder if it can come with me elsewhere to see if it activates anything else interesting. I don't think so. Mole doesn't actually have a lot of flexibility for where to go. Okay. A very efficient slide across there, of course, but that does not help me at all. Now, was there something I could do to kind of, I'm just thinking about what else we would potentially be able to do with that bomb, other than just dropping objects here that are larger than moles and therefore not very accurate. Just need to repeat a lot of stuff. And we'll have to go through this from a couple of times just to meet all the various conditions that we have. Yeah, we might actually just log off a bit early today, just due to a bit of fatigue, unfortunately. But we shall see. I was hoping to stay on a lot longer with this one. I just need a quick breather from this. Let's see. You take that. Take this in the middle. Does not really seem to too much for me though. Because we've got the big boot, we can actually stomp the bomb on the right side, but I think that just kills it immediately. It doesn't accomplish anything. It does prevent all this from spawning or blowing up in any kind of interesting order. Should we continue as is? Yeah, send them all over. So I don't really know how it's going to work. Oh, nope. Always a bit of that puzzly awkwardness. Yeah, it was the replacement shoes a little further along too, but we may need to get there safely first. Hang on. Yeah, just jump out here. And up we go. I'm of course thinking about all the different ways in which I could potentially break things using the boot stomp. That might be important actually, if that's within range of that muncher that you see there, but I don't really have a ceiling to do anything against it right now. Nor does it seem like a good idea. However, no, it is possible. Interesting. Why would I want to do that? The short answer is for the distortion effect. No, that was a mistake. I didn't want to do this yet. Let's reload. Getting a little ambitious here with how out of reach I was. Yeah. Okay, let's try not to kill it this time. But is there any reason I want to leave the muncher in place? I don't think so. Okay, so yeah, doing that on top of the note block is just fine. We'll just do the escort quest from here. And then, whoa, trying to reestablish control over the boot did not work out at all. However, I think the idea is that I do need to drop these with a certain timing, because the mole would be able to traverse the donut blocks and fall in over to the other side. You stand on these, it sends over something, and it bounces up here. That seems surprisingly challenging. But yeah, you would kind of need to be perfect in order for the mole to go across, and I don't think it would gain enough height regardless, given that it's going to be coming off this level. We'll take the time out and we'll probably just call it for today, because I want to get through a lot more of this, but, well, let's see. We'll probably maybe take a quick breather and give it a second attempt. But yeah, you keep the boot. You come through here. Now what do? Mole's gonna come over. Mole bounces over here. So this is the central problem so far. It's just, how do we get the mole across this location? Okay, we will continue, but I need a quick water break, actually, so we'll be right back. Okay, that's much better. So yeah, the main issue right now is just how to manipulate that mole in that later version that we saw. Whoops. Bad idea, as usual. Interestingly enough, the progression through this, for such a large level, has actually felt relatively linear so far. Probably because there are just a lot of mechanisms that mark our progression that we haven't activated just yet. I kind of wonder if it's possible to deflect that somehow. No, not really, because of the one-way panel over here. Yeah, eventually having access to something like a Buzzy helmet is going to be a pretty big deal. In terms of giving me something to progress through. Now, if we decided to wrap around again and spawn a mole, what happens? Nothing. Yeah, so this over here, as we saw earlier, just takes you back. Now, I was looking at the P-switch on the left side as well. I mean, that's something that's going to affect the other room, but... just keeping that in mind. Yeah, on one hand, it's kind of difficult to spot which interaction is going to be next. On the other... we haven't done anything with the red blaster up ahead, but that's because we do need big stiletto to really accomplish anything. Thing that we need here. Yeah, because I guess eventually the reason why you would want to send a mole over to the left this way is so you have something to jump on that would allow you to take a boot up here. If you take a boot up here, or even carry an object up here, then that allows you to go through the pipe on the left side. But in order to do that, the heart block on the right must go. So I don't think we have the means to do it. At least not yet. Assuming that the final blaster is going to be big stiletto, which would just make sense. That would give me a significant chunk of progress at once. Okay, why not send mole to the left? Because it bounced over here, it's perhaps not the most cooperative. No, we already know about the switch over here. We'll see. I wonder if the dizzy effect is actually useful for anything, or if it's purely cosmetic here. Can't rule out the possibility that it is going to give me some kind of important clue. Of course, if you've been playing a puzzle for long enough, sooner or later you just start seeing things about various things that you can accomplish. So yeah, let's see. The mole bounces over here. We managed to bounce on the left. That's how we got checkpoint to begin with. What happens after that? I don't know, I need some way to bounce it up here. I think it is possible, like the mole would bounce up here. You do something like an object toss. Bounce it up into this trap. Seems highly specific though, I kind of have my doubts about that. Anyway. Everything here kind of goes according to plan. Everything here is always chaotic. So it's going to bump on the left side block there. That's important. Because it means I might be able to do some things positioning here that I may not have been able to do otherwise. Oh, got a despawn. However, yeah, mobile is facing left again. It's not something new. So how does this work? Trampoline might do it. Missing some element. Yeah, because I'm looking at some of these hard block configurations as well and seeing perhaps what we might be able to do with them. Seems like a bit of a longer term objective though. Notice that we can raise this. This is how we progressed. Yeah, okay, we got it. It's fairly subtle, but that was the thing we were missing the whole time. Now, however, I messed that up, so we need to reset this area. It's okay. Just spawn it back in. Yeah, the whole time this was just staring me in the face. And oh, look at that, we managed to bounce it up. Try to get it in position here, keep it reasonably centered. A big boot can be recovered. Whoops. Nope, hang on. It's okay. Come back. And then we drop it here. That's an issue. Too soon. However, if I cage this... Now what can I do? I can still use this. Okay, we made progress though. Yeah, no, I finally found what to do with the boot, and that's important. That's a significant breakthrough. And we'll see what we do from there. Okay, that's going to give me this as usual. And let's just kind of autopilot our way back to where we were and play with that spring a little more properly. Yeah, eventually we'll have to lose the shoe, so let's not get too attached. Okay, everything drops. Then we wrap around for the big boots. Same idea as before, we take the big mold to the right. Once we've gotten some of this sequence sorted out. And yeah, that's pretty familiar. Huh. I've sworn that worked before, and it does. Send it up over here. So we're in a controlled position. Interestingly enough, we can not send us any further. And then, oh no, let's get back over here. And then let's, whoops, nope. We'll try to be more delicate about this. I should actually just let it down to the bottom and run it back over. But then that would have trapped it in the middle as we saw last time. Just like that. Well, now that we have it caged, what shall we do with it? Okay, that's interesting. Because that creates a kind of bridging system, but one that potentially I could continue to raise. So a mole is here in the middle. How do we get it up? Donut blocks are going to drop back down slightly. Not by enough. Feel very exposed right now with no power-ups to work with. As a safety buffer. Yeah. So yeah, having them all caged in that area is not really working out. Oh! No, that's where we were before. It's not meaningful progress. However, can that be meaningful progress somehow? Yeah, we've got the mole here. Interestingly enough, I can actually maybe do some additional ground pounds. If I can grab the boot in time. No, I didn't. Oh, whoops. That was a mistake. Yeah, because if you knock the muncher over into that position, it creates a bridging element there. It's a long reset. We'll try to go back there quickly. And remember that way I do need to spawn them all first, of course. Maybe not exactly at peak performance in this puzzle session that we see here. That drops, okay. Grab this. And we'll go back unless we see anything else that beckons me. Oh, no flower. Yeah, no, I forgot to grab the flower. That's what happens from a bit of inattention from time to time. Okay. Then we'll go down. And yeah, still looking at this to see about those coins, because we know that this was already coin 2 that we know about. Definitely needs a little bit of additional backtracking to take me back there, though. Now, can the big boots get across up here? No, I do still need big stiletto to make that happen. But yeah, we'll do the long, long reset over here. This comes over, this then heads over to the left. So where do we get that trampoline for that earlier? We'll have to figure that out. Yeah, might have slightly lost track of my own progression here. Yeah, because we needed this radio station here to get a few things done. Let's see. I really feel like there's no advantage that I can see yet to keeping that alive, so we just won't. Yeah, the horizontal placement really does matter for stomping out those piranhas. And okay, let's see this. Yeah, lost track of the boot again. Hang on. But that's okay because we'll grab the boot over here. We know that should work consistently. Maybe. Yeah. There we go. Interestingly enough, that does not quite get me high enough to grab the boot. Okay, never mind. Yeah, P activation looks like it's going to crack that. Then, yeah, that's familiar. Where was it that we were looking at? Yeah, spawn a mole, move it over here. Send it over without it getting trapped rather in all of these. Maybe it is just a matter of either A, trapping it from above, or B, constraining its movement further. Okay, let's try this. This is very deliberately a damage check. Although, is it? Anyway, let's reactivate the boots. If we can. And yeah, nothing to it over here. Let's... Oops, try to... knock this guy out. But yeah, I will likely not proceed past this time of today because I'm just much too tired to give this a proper treatment. Pretty happy with what we've seen so far. Shouldn't be too hard to recover our current position. The mole comes up. How do we do this? I have to remember where everything is, too. Where did I leave that? A rope and everything else. Let's see. So we spawn the mole. We come back here. Well, I mean, we do need to reset at one point. Oh, whoops, didn't mean to do that. I actually wanted to bounce with the boot all the way up top. I think it is doable, in fact, because of the way the boot bounces. Although you would be emerging through a one-tile column on the other side. It doesn't seem to make too much sense to do it that way. That's okay. Okay, let's drag everything over. Same idea. Yeah, the issue is that I'm not retracing my steps very accurately to begin with, which does add a pretty considerable amount of padding to each attempt just because we're not speeding our way through the limit of our progress. Electrocuted, welcome. Yeah, Electrocuted, I'm actually not going to be on for too much longer, I don't think, because we have come into this a little more exhausted than expected. But yeah, we did an escape room by Pink Birdo at the beginning of the stream. We're currently working on this mega level from Maker 1 by Tetrateryx. And we are steadily progressing, although I took a long time to notice the object that I had to manipulate earlier, and now I need to track the position of the mole so we try our best not to kill it. So we get into this segment. Big boots. Interestingly enough, have I attempted to do anything here? Oh, here's an idea. Except I can't actually jump out of this. So never mind that. I was hoping to do something to grab that trampoline. Yeah, this is a smart gate, in fact, that prevents me from doing anything with the 2-tile wide boot. Because I was hoping to bring a trampoline over here and do something to manipulate that shell, but it doesn't look like it. We'll just go back to how we were doing things before. Anyway, yeah, that boot comes over to the left. Not that boot, rather that mole. Must be really quite tired. This bomb, no particular reason to kill it yet. We already did, in fact, do that gate much earlier. Oh, that was a mistake. Didn't mean to do that. Because now, how do I reset out of this? Yeah, no, I need to escort that mole all the way from over there. So that's why I was doing this incorrectly. I was just not thinking about taking that original mole all the way through to these segments here. But that's okay, we'll do the thing that I wanted to do earlier, which is bounce like this and take the boot across the whole way. So this is new, that I've managed to get up through here with the big boots and accomplish nothing except, of course, getting back into position for this guy. means we can release this once again. We found our reset pattern for that particular room then. So yeah, now we shouldn't have to worry so much about... Well, I was about to say, shouldn't have to worry so much about killing the mole, but of course I'm actually quite concerned about that at this moment. Losing the boot is okay though, and at least now it is. Not much of a bump over here, unfortunately. Kinda wonder if we do anything else here to accept some of what we're seeing here. So yeah, we know how to get the mole up there. We know how to cycle it back down. What I can't quite seem to do is get it all the way across to the left side, but I think that's just a placement issue. I think we can do it, in fact. Oh, I do have to loop it all the way back around. Nope. Bad placement. Cake Dude 09. Doing alright. Maybe a little too tired to play this sensibly. Puzzle solving skills are kind of not operating 100% today, and so it might be a bad idea given the scale of this one. Now, that was a pure execution mistake just now, though. That seems solvable. Okay. Let's do this. Grab this. And yeah, it's just that whole later on. Whoops, forgot a fire flower. Just completely forgot. It's okay. We know where we are. Okay. Well, let's see. There we go. Switch to the big boots. Yeah, this you can not do either. Seems like it's fairly constricted. And let's open up. As usual with these puzzles, it's kind of nice how smooth everything feels in terms of reliability. They are built with some elements that are more reputedly on the meter side. But yeah, never too late to learn some of this stuff. Whoops. However, I will need to be extra careful about the bounce pattern here. Okay. I don't want to break even in such a way that harms the mole, though. Let's do that. Forgot about this thing here. Then, no, we need to loop it again. Whoops. That was unfortunate. Yeah, maybe slightly running out of steam here. Let's see. Just trying to get into position to move the big mole over to the left side. That crossing. Surprisingly involved task. I do wonder if I'm missing something technical that will make that happen cleanly. Anyway, back to the shoe. Yeah, I haven't seen anything else this would interact with just yet, so let's not get too stuck with it. And after that bout of cleverness, we will go back to taking damage. Really only just noticed that the bumpers on top of this whole entry area here, it does kind of look like a face, or the eyes of a face. Like this over here, it kind of looks like it's the head of something else that is extending far below. Okay, same idea. Then we do the studio tuning. I think we do. Once again, I'm going to send it right through. Yeah, I guess we will just give the mole the benefit of the doubt. Hang on. Sure, with so much mail just auto-sorting itself here. And we can't make it across, but let's clean the path first before... Oh, well, yeah, that was purely accidental. That's okay, we know how to spawn another one. With difficulty. Not much difficulty, we just need to come back here with the boot on. Okay, it's gonna go over. And we'll see what has here kind of establish anything important about the other textual clues that we see here. Let's drop this guy. You're saying it's, yeah. Lovely. Yeah, switch up there. Let's do this. Let's, no, we need the spring. Let's grab it. Nope. Guess we're loading up on the F4 roll again. Whoops. Too many accidental kills. we need to use something here to kind of maintain this ship in the kind of throes of immaturity. Let's see, this rides down, just doesn't do anything. Any surprises in the composition required? I don't think so far. Yeah, we know this gives me access to the Korean broadcast. Very unfortunate hours, of course, to be doing any of this. Nope. Yeah, I'm just missing every single time. There's gotta be an easier way to do this in terms of restoring my progress. Yeah, it won't be a time drop. It will be to spring. It's just we've had a couple of potential difficulties right after that, so. Alright, let's check over here. Let's see what was meant by that. Nothing going on here. Oh, whoops. Yeah, no, I really do need to spawn that mole. Hang on. I'm just running around in circles here for the last little while because I keep missing that one logistical piece of the sequence. Also, I need to figure out easy access to some of the wizard blades, so we have the benefit of dealing with. Exceeds the number of people per capita, or not per capita, exceeds the number of people total. That's something I don't want to work on in my head right now. Let's see. So, let's see. Yeah, it seems like a fairly rapid shift away from the underdog position. So yeah, the main sticking point for the last few attempts has just been to get the big mole across that bridge safely. Let's see what this does. Okay, we just make sure we have enough room for this to work with. Now I need that episode, or not episode, it's a trampoline rather. I'm starting to lose my grasp on some words, I think. Okay, we're at about the 3-hour mark in the stream. This is much earlier than usual for me. But I think we will actually just call it at this point. And the intention will be to continue tomorrow. At my current pace, I don't even know if I'll finish it tomorrow. Obviously, we'll need to not burn quite so many attempts on just getting back into position for the mole that we managed to lose over and over. This obviously will continue. But I'll need to be significantly more awake to do it. And this will give me a chance to go back and think about those 2 coins that we found so far before we decide to proceed further. For now, though, I think I'm just going to send you folks on somewhere else, and we've got a lot more of this coming. I can see why it's a fairly long one, just given the, once again, the length of the repetitions that we need to deal with in order to just get back to that one mole I couldn't quite position just yet. I mean, it's very clear to me that I needed the mole to get up to the top level, get across, hit the P-switch, and kind of transport it from there. But I wonder if there's a more reliable way to clean up some of the execution trouble that we've been running into. Anything that we can do here as the player. We'll find out soon enough. But for now, I'm going to pass you on somewhere else. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. We are going to have more puzzles tomorrow and probably go back to Maker 2 for fewer levels on the weekend. Until then, though, let's pass you on to somebody interesting. And as usual, have a great weekend ahead of you, whether you manage to drop by for more of this or not. Very well.